there's some tops, and there's a volcano, and that's a Tegosaurus, and this is dinosaur. And a whole coin.
You want a whole coin?
In the whole scheme of things, so once those are gone, what happens to the people that don't have any? What do they do? I know you're going to be earning it, but then let's just say the multi-million-pound business that ships wood from A to B, they've got £3 million in the bank. It's now hyperinflated, not worth it. The paper's written on. You might as well keep it as wood instead of the paper. What are they going to do? They ain't got any Bitcoin.
They'll probably have a lot of fun staying poor.
I've had a complaint from one of our fans that during the inheritance pod, we failed to include our lovely sister.
Oh, right.
So apparently she was very offended that she would be able to look after the vault, and we were just listening to we were just discussing mum and dad not being able to do it. So yeah. I think it's appropriate as well to give a shout out to the Wrexham Rat as well.
Yeah, well, it's true, yeah. But at the moment, she couldn't do it.
So I said to her, I actually said, "Go on, then how would you do it?" She went, "I'm sure I could do it." Like, how? She was like, "Oh," and she did realise.
Yeah. So I think, and ultimately, that's a failing on both of us two, really.
Mm-hmm.
Not on. That's the thing. It's not on really on parents or sister. It's by and large, it's us. Like, we need to get knowledge outside of just us, and at least go through it once, and then just have the notes written down. So they don't need to be pros. They just need to, in the event of emergency where we are literally not here, could they do it? And if they've at least seen it once, then yeah, absolutely, Claire could do it easy. Yeah. But at the moment, she hasn't seen it once. So there would be a risk that during the recovery process, because as we know with Bitcoin, if you make a big mistake once, that's it. Yeah. There's no
rollback.
There's no getting it back. It's gone. And yeah.
No, it's interesting. And we've been preaching about being your own sovereign and all that, and making sure you look after yourself. And we've actually made the fundamental mistake in ourselves, haven't we? But then it's how many layers you go, and it's still in infancy. So whilst now, and the likelihood of both of us getting killed in that jet ski is reduced until you get your lake. So once you get the lake, we definitely need to divulge this information, because it probably will happen. Yeah, but there'll be a major incident anyway. We might just have head trauma or something. Yeah,
I think the main thing to do is to get it outside of just you. So the fact that we both have each other, that by and large is the safety net. By and large, that's all you need.
Yeah.
So if one of us goes, it means the other can recover the Bitcoin. If both of us go, that's the issue. And then it starts to get a bit more complicated, because you do have to measure it with the risk profile as well. The more people that know, means the more likelihood is of someone letting something slip, just inviting a family member or a friend round. Yeah. They might reference it, and then you don't know that person. Before you know it, you're being targeted.
Can we talk about then? That's a great one. So from the pod of the 4Bs, I really, really enjoyed, and I actually never got to the end of the story because my train stopped. I had to get in the car. It was about the honey trap for Tinder, and I just tell you what I knew about it. So basically, a girl's out there saying that she's a Bitcoiner or a trader, and basically searching for people that are promoting wealth and pretending that they've got money because they've been successful in trading. And a lot of these young kids have actually done that and can have a lot of money. So she went home, roofied him, and then she, over the course of the evening, which is very easy to do when you're completely unsuspicious, getting those vital bits of information out of you, how to access PIN numbers or family names, random things, that's your security code, your security passwords on your emails and stuff like that. So she got all that information. She managed to steal so much out of his Coinbase account or something, but she never found the wallet. And that's because obviously he's either forgot about it or just had that bit of sense in the back of his head. And yeah, you were talking about that, and I just thought it was incredibly interesting. And I think you just said about more people you let know about your specifics, the worse it is, because it can just be something in a staff room that, let's just use Holly for an example. She says, "Oh, yeah, Tom's brother, he's retired, blah blah blah," and before you know it, it gets back to, "Oh, okay." Then they come befriend her to get a bit more information, and it wouldn't be that difficult to find some information out. And before you know it, you could be in some sticky situations. It's unlikely, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah. The example that happened there was, she went back to his, and then roofied him, so spiked his drink, but he was knocked out. So the way to get into your Coinbase account is the only obviously your username and password is saved on your laptop. So she got him to unlock the laptop. So she's in there, just goes to Coinbase. It auto logs in because then most people have their username and password saved. I do, for example. Then you have 2FA saved. So you need that second code. But she's sat next to him with his phone there.
And his finger.
And it's got finger or face recognition. So all she has to do is hold up the phone to his face. It unlocks. She goes into the two-factor authentication, gets the code, plugs that in. And he had a small amount of Bitcoin on his Coinbase. That gets drained. So she sends that straight out to her own wallet. But that wasn't his main thing. He had a hardware wallet as well, but she couldn't find that and hence couldn't get into it. Because the thing is, he was barely conscious. So you couldn't even ask him for PIN numbers and stuff. He was just passed out. But obviously his face and finger still worked to unlock phones. So this is the thing. There's the physical attack. So even Coinbase coins were relatively safe because you needed physical access to his phone to get the code off it. But she had that. So
no, that's another reason to not lead to move stuff off your exchanges, and because you are open to it. You're absolutely right. If you got the person and they're just not with it, chances are you can get through all these little things, can't you?
This is no different. Like people that flaunt their wealth have always been targeted. This is nothing new. And normally it's the watch. The watch is the giveaway. So if you walk around with a 10 or 20 grand Rolex on your wrist, people will target you. Number one, they'll just go for the watch. But number two, they will also go, he probably has other stuff as well. So you're much more likely to get mugged. And, I've seen a couple of muggings in Chester, actually, and it's been for the watch. And I've seen people like running after other people, and he's got my watch. And so you're walking around with basically £20,000 on your wrist. And it's super easy just to snap that off. And then they can just sell that for a couple of grand down some local pawn shop, and it's a couple of grand. That's a lot of money just to grab off someone's wrist, and it's basically untraceable. It's not like a phone that has a tracking device in it. It's not like if I grab your wallet, what's the chances of having 20 grand in or just 2 grand in? Very
just
very,
20 quid these days.
Very low. So if you do flaunt your wealth and you do tell too many people about it, then you're going to get targeted. So you have to have your guard up anyway. I'm suspicious of everyone constantly. So if anything, like I have my suspicions super high, and you almost have to prove yourself that you're not a bad person before I let you anywhere near anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, you're in a different position where a lot of younger kids starting out that probably need to try and make out that there's something that they're not. They do flaunt it, don't they? That's the point. They do say, "Oh, look at me." They probably stick a 0 on the end as well. So it's probably not actually genuinely true. Whereas the real rich are people that you don't really notice. That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a really sad story actually from a couple of years ago where someone made a load of money in the 2017 bull run, and he was a YouTuber and he made it on Bitcoin, and you can tell he wasn't a real Bitcoiner because he sold a load of it, and he put a picture on his Instagram of him with 50 grand of physical cash sat on his desk, and he was a YouTuber and he was doing vlogs and all sorts, so he had video footage of him leaving his flat and all this type of stuff. So what happened?
Oh, geez, you could track it easily, couldn't you?
Well, a couple of days later, he walks out of his flat. There's 4 guys standing there, just grab him, walk him straight back into his flat, and take him for everything. They take the 50 grand that's on the table. He had a couple of watches and all that kind of stuff around. But he also had something like 700 grand, I think it was, of Bitcoin. And his ledger and stuff was just sat about. So they held him. They torched him for a little bit and got him to unlock that ledger and send them the Bitcoin. And it's really tragic because number one, he brought it on himself. But then number two, it was about 2 months later, the lad committed suicide because he just couldn't take it because he knew how stupid he'd been. And he had built up such a huge amount of wealth. I think this lad was young. He was like 22, 23. And and ultimately on paper, he was a millionaire and he was back to 0, beaten up. And unfortunately, not many people had sympathy for him because he had been one of these showy, look how rich I am kind of guys. You know, anyone that puts 50 grand and then just holds it around their head and doing all that, no one really likes you. So then when someone comes and just knocks you on the head and takes it all, it's a little bit, well, you deserved it, but it's still super sad. Obviously, no one deserves that to happen to them. But yeah, it's very big scare stories. And we always talk about it in Bitcoin. It's called the $5 wrench attack, which is no matter how good your security is, if someone walks up to you with a $5 wrench and hits you on the head with it, then what's security against that? That's the hardest one to actually build defense against. All the security stuff coming in from a remote, you can build all your security and firewalls and have that all nice and set out. But someone just knocks you on the head and then goes, tell me how to unlock all this. That's a much difficult one.
Jeez. Yeah, it's not worth thinking about, is it?
But a good thing is most people are cowards, so they don't want to come up to you and hit you on the head. Most of them want to do it from a computer remotely.
Well, especially at the moment with Bitcoin being so in its infancy, the thugs of the world haven't got it. They're still burgling houses, aren't they, and robbing cars. Like when the adoption comes, that's when you got to proper have your wits about you. Because it's techies that are in on it now. It's the techie theft, isn't it? It's the cyber criminals. It's the clever people that have got the honey trappers. They're the people that are doing it at the moment.
Yeah, well, they want to call you up and they want to send you emails and trick you. That's
they
send you
the
text
main
messages.
One is,
and the trick is they do it for low value amount of money quite often. So you don't report it and the police will never check on it. That's the best form of crime if you really want to get rich in 2021 is steal £5 from 1 million people.
Yeah,
you make 5 million quid and not a single person reports it.
Yeah, because this guy can't bother, and it's not even a crime, is it? You phone the police to go £5. No, I'm not interested.
And it's the police have to piece all that together and go, hold on, we've had 1 million reports.
That's quite a lot of money.
Actually together, it's worth it. But it, by and large, and also then do it from Thailand. So now Thailand police that have the jurisdiction to prosecute the criminal, and it's a load of, say, UK and American people that got scammed. So now it's who's going to prosecute? Essentially no one. So you get away with it.
On the note of adoption, it was something I thought about. You'd have seen it on the agenda. I was just thinking about it. It comes away from your pod with the 4Bs, and it was you're talking about adoption, and there's only 21 million, which is obviously the major benefit. But then let's just say all 21 million, or pretty much, by what did you say, in like 30 odd years, 40 years, there'll be pretty much more mined. It's going to be the last few over the next sort of 100 years. So everyone's got it, and there's a lot of people in this day and age in the Bitcoin community right now that have obviously got more than one Bitcoin. Even if they've got half, that only allows 42 million people to have half. And we know the world's got billions in, 7 billion. So my question is, if the government don't have money, then there's going to be no private sector, which I know we've touched on last time. But in the whole scheme of things, so once those are gone, what happens to people that don't have any? What do they do? I know you're going to be earning it, but then let's just say the multi-million-pound business that ships wood from A to B, they've got £3 million in the bank. It's now hyperinflated, not worth it. The paper is written on. You might as well keep it as wood instead of the paper. What are they going to do? They ain't got any Bitcoin.
They'll probably have a lot of fun staying poor.
I know, but it's not I was thinking that is the only answer, isn't it?
No, essentially, this is the same thing. So this isn't Bitcoin specific. This is the evolution of money. And as we saw with rice stones, with seashells, with agri beads. So for anyone that's done Bitcoin lessons or read the Bitcoin standard, money evolves. And essentially, once the main kind of feature of money is scarcity. So once scarcity is removed, either through technical innovation or governments overprinting, then the value of one form of money goes to zero. And society does not run without money. We can't have society without money. It's been a brilliant invention that humans have created, because essentially what it allows us to do is trade our products and services for other products and services, but not directly one-to-one. So if I'm making apples and you're farming cows, then there's not always, if I want a cow, you're not always going to want apples. So there's a problem there. So money allows us to go, right, well, if I can sell X amount of apples, I can give you the money and buy some meat off you. And that suddenly now goes, you always want money, because now whatever you want, you can just go buy that from someone else. So when we transition from government money into Bitcoin land, what's going to happen is it won't happen just overnight. There's going to be a period of it. It'll probably take multiple decades, and we're probably 1 decade in, probably 3 or 4 more to go, I would guess, until we're fully on a Bitcoin standard. So slowly but surely, what people start to do is start to transact in the new, more sound, harder money. So Bitcoin slowly but surely becomes the standard, and people start to ask for Bitcoin. And as we've seen over the last 12 years, the centralization of who owns the most Bitcoin is getting more and more dilute over time. So the big holders that were started at the beginning, a lot of them have exited and sold a load of their Bitcoin to buy houses, cars, set up businesses. Where did that Bitcoin go? Well, it went to a load of people further down the line. My Bitcoin that I have now, that wasn't straight from the blockchain that came out in the first couple of coins that were mined. I bought them by second, third, fourth hand of someone else that had them for a much lower price. So that will continue to happen. As the price goes up, the holders will sell, and we'll be selling to new people coming in.
Because they'll be buying the houses, I see, the tangible assets.
Yeah. So it becomes the economy. So for governments, for example, governments will just have to get smaller. Like I said, I think on the last one, governments won't disappear. They don't just become irrelevant overnight. Essentially, they just become smaller because they can't print infinite money now. So they have to be more sensible. And essentially what they will start to do is they will demand that people still pay their taxes. They'll probably raise taxes, but they'll want you to pay in Bitcoin. So then you now start to governments get the money that way. Businesses. So that guy that has a wood business and has £3 million in cash, and that all just went up in smoke. But fortunately, he has, say, £1 million left full of wood. How does he get? He doesn't want to accept pounds for that wood now, because he just lost 3 million through hyperinflation. He now starts to sell the wood for Bitcoin. And someone like me will come up to him going, oh, I want to build a new barn. You got a load of wood. And he'll go, okay, great. I'll accept X Bitcoin for that. And I go, okay. And then
it'll be about 1,000 Satoshis. That'll be it. And you get £1,000 worth of wood.
So essentially it spreads out. And eventually, once the price is stable, then the Bitcoiners have to live in their life. They have to buy food, pay their rent, buy houses, buy land, go on holiday, eat, drink, do all these things. And they pay in Bitcoin. So over time, the Bitcoin ends up getting spread out very thin across everyone as the people start to spend it. But the trick is, this is like the gold rush. Just as gold, came into fruition about 500 years ago, and when they first discovered it, and there's a big gold rush to go and hoard it, the people that hoarded it literally still rule the world today. They became the kings and queens and the very powerful presidents, sat on huge stack piles of gold and bought land, businesses. So they managed to, even though they were spending their gold, they were setting up kind of institutions to make sure the gold came back through other forms. But ultimately, Bitcoin or gold now got very, very spread out. And the same will happen to Bitcoin. But the opportunity that we have now, which is why it's a once in a 500-year evolution, is this is the start of a new form of money. So you can wait and get your tiny piece in 100 years, and it will still be available then. But if you get in now, you get to have a chunk of that Bitcoin, which is vastly more than what you should have, because the price is just so cheap.
Okay, so out of interest, when the last change went from whatever would have been to gold, like if you think about it now, social media and the noise that Bitcoiners are making to not promote as such, but educate, but it is a slight promotion as well. It's sort of informing the world of it. So like you said last time, everyone's heard of Bitcoin in one regard. It's probably a lot of it's negative, what people heard, because they love to hear a negative thing. But who would have, when you change it from whatever it was to gold for that switch for money, who educated people to go, this is now the new form? Like that's quite an incredible thought. We're 500 years ago with no technology like we have today. Yeah, for that to have been switched over globally as well, it's bloody mind-boggling, isn't it?
Look, like humans are smart, but ultimately you're right. Like it happened a lot slower, and so a lot of people got paid or got made very, very poor because they didn't realize. And the people that did know gold was the next sound money didn't tell the people on the ground that was the case. That's why the people that valued rhinestones, seashells, and all that, they pretended that, oh, right, fine. If you want to get paid in that, I will pay you in that happily. And they ended up having stockpiles of rhinestones, seashells, and agri beads. And then suddenly, once they realized that once they wanted to buy some goods, the only thing that was accepted was gold, and they didn't have any, then that's their wake-up call. So the first they hear of it is when they go down to the shop one day and the shopkeeper goes, I only accept gold now. Your beads are no good here. They're like, fuck, that would you, so I can't buy my weekly shop today. They're like, no, we want gold now. And suddenly you start panicking, running around going, who can give me some gold in exchange for these shells or whatever it is. And so that's how it essentially proliferates through society, which is word of mouth. When you start trading with individuals and they only accept gold, and it's the powerful nations that decide what the economy is going to be. So it was the British and the Americans that decided gold was going to be the new global money. So they only accepted it. So suddenly all nations were forced to go to the gold standard a lot of the time because they wanted to pay in other things. Yeah. They had other natural resources and not very much gold. And we were going, but they wanted stuff from us, and they went, oh, well, we will pay you in whatever their currency was. And we would just refuse and go, no, it's gold now. That's all we value is gold. So you do it virtually by force, but it happened over generations. Whereas with Bitcoin, over 12 years, every single person on the planet has heard of Bitcoin. And so, yes, it's fairer. It's a much fairer scheme this time because everyone has a fair opportunity to learn. Everyone has an access to the internet. Go buy some. There's no excuse.
The irony behind the message behind that is, I think, is actually going to be the poor countries. It might be a whole flip reverse. Like, obviously, the super powerhouses will get Bitcoin, like the Americas and most countries in Europe. But, all those third world countries that are really poor in poverty, Zimbabwe's, El Salvador's, they're going to be on the Bitcoin standard earlier. So they're going to build up and probably switch with your other mediocre countries, potentially like a Wales or a Scotland, especially if they all break away, which they talk about doing. We could find that the poverty switches over, which would be absolutely, you can't even comprehend it.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic, because there's a load of people, that don't have bank accounts, but they do have a Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, and it's insane when you think about it.
And those few Satoshis that they have in there that they're collecting for their ice cream stand and their mango stand, if they keep holding that and make sure they don't convert it into dollars or something, they just keep the sats and they hold that for 10, 20 years, they're going to be super wealthy.
Yeah, you think what the price is going to be then? It's going to be... Well, that's the interesting thing about Bitcoin as well. Once it becomes the norm, the price is irrelevant, isn't it? It isn't the price, is it? So it would just be the Satoshi / the micro breakdown of a Satoshi, won't it? Yeah, that'll be all you'll look at.
Yeah. Well, you won't be able to put a pound or a dollar mark on a pound, but on a Bitcoin. But what you will know is that a 1 Bitcoin buys you a mansion. So
yeah. You'll still be able to comprehend it.
You still know that those sats went up.
Well, it's like what we say, isn't it? Those penny sweets that we used to buy from Woolworths. Now they're 5p each, aren't they? Or 15p for a Freddy, or whatever it is. On the note of a bit of current topic, again, it's feeding into what I listened to from Tuesday night. So obviously we've all witnessed a bit of a bounce back in the last sort of 7 to 8 days, from the price jumping from just over 20 to 29k, and then it bounced back down again. So it literally hit it, and then 2 days later it was back down at like 24. And the news that came out was that Amazon were going to start accepting it, and that's when it went up. And then the fake news hit it, and then it dropped back down, which is understandable. I know you always say it's very difficult to understand the price change, and it's just more people are buying than are selling. The equilibrium has shifted. But why has it gone back up? Because FUD come in, didn't it? Obviously, fake news came in. FUD's always around. It went up and went down, but it's come back up again, and it's pretty solid at your 28 grand at the moment. It's very interesting. Why is the sudden shift of what's about 15%, isn't it, ultimately?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably more than that. I think it's more like 25% is where were up. And I think essentially what happened, and this happens both ways, right? So when the price goes up too much, what people do is they leverage long, which essentially means they borrow money to bet that the price goes up. So what you can do is say you have £1,000, but you go, I'm so confident I want to 10x that money. So I want to bet 10,000 on the price going up. So what you can do is leverage 10x your £1,000 and bet that the price goes up. And then if it goes up by 1%, then you actually make 10% more. If it goes up 10% more, you make 100 times,
Right.
100 times more. And so the returns are much bigger. But also, if the price just goes down by 1%, you're down 10. And if the price goes down 10%, you get liquidated and you lose your £1,000. So it's super easy.
So who's holding that? Who's the middleman there?
It's the exchanges.
So you can long an exchange. So is this a separate exchange to what I know?
Yeah. So Coinbase don't do it. They don't have leverage. But
Sounds like a Binance thing.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of exchanges that offer leverage. I never suggest people do it, but people do. Traders do it all the time. So they leverage long and they can also leverage short. So the reason why these things are prevalent now is when the price goes up, people get too confident. So when we got to 60, loads of people are leveraging long. Everyone thought it was going to go off to 1 million. So the problem with it, what it happens is once people get liquidated, the liquidation means you have to sell. So once too many people are long, if the price pulls back 10%, it liquidates a load of people. They sell and it pulls back further and it starts this collapse from where we went from 60 to 30. And then the same thing happened this time, but the other way around. So at 30, loads of people were super confident that Bitcoin was going to continue to go down to like 10K.
Well, 15, 10, that's what they're saying. Yeah.
They were leveraged short. And what happens there is the opposite thing. So all Bitcoin had to do is, because we were down there for so long, people were getting more and more confident. They were leveraging up more and more and more. And then the price of Bitcoin went up 10% on the Amazon news. So I think Amazon was the catalyst, where a load of people thought, oh my God, Amazon's going to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They have 100 billion just sat there. They can pump Bitcoin crazy. So the price of Bitcoin pumped 10, 15%. It liquidates the shorts, which means they have to buy Bitcoin at a higher price. It forces them to buy. That's what you have to do. So you buy higher, you have to buy. And then, so that pushes the price even higher. And a load of people see it going up 30% now, and then they keep buying. So it goes up and up and up. Then the news that Amazon aren't got anything to do with Bitcoin. It was all just made up. So the price then comes back down a little bit. But what's happened here and why the price went back up pretty much to the all-time high locally is a load of the people that are anti-Bitcoin and think the price is going to go down, they've been wrecked. There was $1 billion worth of Bitcoin liquidated in 12 minutes.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
So that's $1 billion that was anti-Bitcoin money. That entire billion was betting on the price going down. So that's a lot of individuals all around the world thinking the price of Bitcoin's going down. They're gone. They lost all their money.
And the Bitcoin that they were forced to buy goes to the exchange, right?
No, they buy it, so they have to have it. But
so they could sell it straight back, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could, but they've lost loads of money in it because essentially they could have just bought Bitcoin down at 30K, and ultimately they had to buy it at 40.
Yeah. So let me get this right.
They get liquidated as well. So the exchange will buy it, and their account just gets liquidated.
So if you get liquidated, do you lose? I know the word liquidated means you lose it all.
Yeah.
So let's say you had 10K in Bitcoin, you shorted it, and then it makes you sell. You lose everything.
Yeah.
So why would you ever short it? You should always go long, shouldn't you? Because in the worst case, you'd buy it high, and at least you get to keep the money.
Basically, it's a bet. It's like betting on, like over 2.5 goals or under. You have to get it right, and then you win. So yeah, if you get it wrong, you lose your account. So what I think's happened now is a load of the people that think Bitcoin's going to go down are out the game. So when Bitcoin was just hovering around that 35K mark in dollars, then yeah, they're gone. So there's the same amount of buyers still sat here, and they just kept on buying it. And a lot of the people that were suppressing the price with these shorts are out the game. So we just naturally just drifted back to 40K, and that's where we're hovering now because a load of the shorters have been wrecked, and it will take them. They'll come back. They'll get their confidence back over time. They'll earn some more money, But this is Bitcoin. This is why we have such violent moves, because the market genuinely decides on the price of Bitcoin.
Well, that's really interesting understanding now to why the shifts move, because it doesn't just move very gradually. It generally does go straight line, and it goes straight line because it hits that number, which liquidates shorts, which then goes through the roof, and vice versa. You never see it going down like that. You see it go. You'll almost jump 5k down without you even realizing. And I always go back to this when we used to joke about it in 2017 about one day we'll be just sat there laughing at we've just went up or down $1,000, not even batter an eyelid. And you know, you look at it one part of the day. I'm Mr. Look at it. I'm not Mr. Never Look.
Sir Never Look.
Sir Never Look. That's it. Sir Never Look. I check it, especially when it's going up. I've realised I check my iWatch a lot more. I actually completely got out of the habit of doing that. But it does jump about 900 quid, and then you go, and then next time you look at it, it's gone up 500 quid. That's the crackers about it. And just think, in 2024 or whatever it would be, it'll probably be going up 5 to 10k a day, and you'd be like, meh. Yeah. Because it'd be worth hundreds of grands, and it's just it's all working to script so far.
Yeah, I'll show you a video. Basically, this little video of a short seller, and it's a great little video because what he's been doing is there's a range of Bitcoin that's been happening over the last, other than the last couple of days. Before that, what we were doing, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but I think we were trading between, in dollars, 25k and 30k, and we were just bouncing up and down. So what he was doing is each time we got to 30k, short it, go to 25k, long it, short, and just bouncing up and down. And the trade had worked perfectly for about a month.
Yeah, we would.
And so he got overconfident. And on this video, that it's only like a 30-second clip, he bet, I think it was like 6 Bitcoin on a short at 30k. So what's that? Give and take 200k, 200,000 pounds. And yeah, and they're watching the little candles, and it hits 30k, and he's like, go down. But this was the Amazon news, and it just pumped straight through. He gets up, kicks his screen over, and just like rages because he just lost 200k. So that was probably all his profit over the last 2 months, because you just got more and more confident. You know, like this range is just guaranteed. I've made this trade 10 times over the last month. It's always worked until it doesn't. And Bitcoin decides to go, nah, we're going up now. And off it went. And yeah, 200k up in smoke.
It reminds me of about 15 years ago when you found a bug to a game on William Hill, and you were just going, look, every time I win. And then the number was getting higher and higher. It was like £500 or £1,000 or something stupid like that. Like, it wins every time. And then you won a big lot and you went, I'm going to stop there. And then the one after or something, you were carried on watching it. There was that anomaly that wouldn't guarantee that win. It's like roulette and going, I'm betting on black and red all the time, and so I'm winning every time. But you didn't realize there was a green in there. But there was that opportunity, and you would put £1,000 or something stupid.
Yeah, I think I put on 500 quid to win 10.
That was it. That was it.
Just press the button over and over, and like
you would like doing it so quick, weren't you? Like,
it was some type of horse race.
Yeah.
And I was just betting on all the horses, and it's like it doesn't matter which one wins. I always make a tenner. So I was just pressing the button over and over, turned 500 quid into 1,000 in the space of about 15 minutes, and then just went, that's good enough now. Let's just leave it. But I'm like, this is a printing machine. Yeah. And then, about 2 races later, can't remember what happened. I think all the horses fell over or something. I'm like, what? They can all fall over? I thought some could fall. They all fell. And there's like no winner. I'm like, oh, that was the wipeout one. And yeah, so that was essentially me being reckless, trading, thinking I've found a loophole. And yeah, I was one click away from getting wrecked. But fortunately,
imagine how you'd have felt at that time in your life as well.
Yeah, I was in my poker days back then. I was just freaking throwing money around all over the place. I didn't know the value of money back then either.
So there was one thing that this is a bit older news. It's about the Ethereum model. So we very rarely touch on shitcoins, but there was you have to probably fill me in because a few weeks ago when I wrote this. So there was something went wrong with a transaction, I believe, maybe a mistake on the Ethereum blockchain, and it wasn't right. So all they did was they went, okay, I'll fix that. They pressed pause, went back, and said, "Okay, carry on again. Everyone's back to normal." So it reminded me of the banking system that we operate in now, and this begged the question for me: like, if you want to buy something that might be a bit dodgy online, if you buy it on your credit card, you know for a fact, even if you've given it to an Iranian man that's not going to send you your money for your camera, you can see another hint for Claire. If you buy Nigeria, yeah, if you buy something online and it doesn't arrive or it comes and it's fake, you can phone your bank up, and for some unknown reason, they will give you your money back. But you're the bellend that cocked up, but you automatically get it refunded. So that doesn't really. When I thought about it, I was like, well, why? I don't understand. But that's what Ethereum did, and that is the biggest flaw to their model, that people are actually in charge of their blockchain and the coding. So have I got all that right? Is that all accurate?
Yeah, the only bit of extra detail I would say is you can only do that on Ethereum, and because it's not a standard thing, they do it for huge amounts of money. So they did that. There was a 200 million contract that they created to fund a load of projects. There was a bug in the contract, and someone else drained out 200 million worth of Ethereum out of it. So what they decided to do was go, oh, let's roll the chain back before the hack, fix the bug, and then roll it forward again. So in your example there of, oh, I sent $50 or whatever, I sent a camera, or, oh, can you just roll that $50 transaction, please, Mr. Ethereum? The answer is still no, fuck off. They're not going to do it for tiny transactions. They only do it for huge ones that might affect their brand.
So on that note then, so that 200 million, so you robbed it, let's say, Ethereum rolled it back. Have you still got your Ethereum?
No, because the transaction that I did to take it out is now gone.
Wow. So if you put it on cold wallet, how does that work?
It wouldn't be recognized. So this is why, like, when you plugged it would have been on there, for example, but then when you plugged it in and
it would be like error,
and it took it and it looked at the Ethereum blockchain, the transaction has now happened. So it would just your Ethereum would just disappear.
Right, of course, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because obviously it's not that Ethereum digital number on your ledger doesn't reflect actually a transaction which actually happened on the Ethereum blockchain. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not like running into a bank vault and stealing 200 million out of it and you having it physically. It's more like you running into a bank remotely and stealing it through the internet, and then them just going, we're just going to delete your account and put it back over here.
Yeah,
that's essentially what they did. You didn't have anything physical, and that's the great thing about blockchains. Essentially, in the Bitcoin blockchain, is whatever the network says is what you have. So that's why the inherent trust in that blockchain. So the security is absolutely paramount. Because if it isn't, then because every time you plug your ledger in and it says syncing, that means checking the blockchain to make sure your Bitcoin's still there. So that might be the first time you realize that you got hacked or whatever, because if someone has got access to your coins in some shape or form, then that will be when it syncs and goes, oh, there's some transactions here. Look.
Yeah, geez, imagine. Sinking, 0.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have gone out of that bird.
What do you want to talk about that anyway?
No, I was basically just opening the eyes to people about the reason why Ethereum, despite the chance that it is going to follow in Bitcoin's footsteps, so to speak, for so long, because it has got a massive following, hasn't it? Like, let's be honest, it is strong. And whilst we could look at a lot of the shitcoiners and go, they go down the way, they go up sometimes a lot quicker than Bitcoin for percentage wise. That's only because it's such a smaller value. But Ethereum has followed in Bitcoin's graphs, really. Like it's what's selling at probably about $2,000, isn't it, at the moment? Which, don't get me wrong, it's not comparable, but it rectifies at a similar time as Bitcoin. So yeah, I think it is going to be around for quite a while. But it was the biggest flaw to it, and I think I never understood why the flaw was to it, other than it not being properly decentralized, and the amount of forks they've had, and there's issues with the developers about the strategic way they want to go with it, and they don't agree all the time, which is straight away a dilemma. Bitcoin just goes bang. It's got lots of people involved, but there's no one actually accessing the code, sort of thing, is there?
Yeah, because what that opens up the door for Well, if you can roll it back for that 200 million transaction, then what's stopping a government coming in and just saying, either close it down completely, or we want you to print a load of coins and put them over here for us? That's what it opens up, because the example that happened in Bitcoin is it was actually Binance. Binance got hacked of 75 million. They had a hot wallet that was sat in the exchange that was unsecure, and that's what they used to just do withdrawals. So every time the 75 million went down, they would just top it up from their cold wallets behind, so their customers could just withdraw from it. But what they hadn't realized is that there was a vulnerability in there, and someone hacked the 75 million out. And the founder of that exchange tweeted a hilarious thing going, we're looking into rolling back the chain to undo that transaction. And obviously all the Bitcoiners just laughed at him and went, fucking good luck, mate. There's no chance we're agreeing to it. That money's gone. Your fault. And no one's going to agree to rolling it back. We're all in charge of this chain. No, the money's gone. You got hacked. Yeah. It's done. And ultimately, that is what happened. So in that instance, a hacker got away with 75 million that wasn't his. It was in exchanges. But that's what you get with Bitcoin, that you get immutability. Every transaction that happens, once it's confirmed on the blockchain, it's stamped in there forever. Whether it was legit or a stolen transaction, it's kept on there. So whereas in Ethereum, they just went to Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, and just went, excuse me, can you roll that one back? We've lost some money. And he went, all right. And that basically now means if I'm a government and I want to take control of Ethereum, I got one phone call to make. Good luck doing that.
You just need $5.
Yeah, and a wrench. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's hugely vulnerable, isn't it? And let's just say if they roll it back, so obviously you've lost that transaction. But there's nothing to say that they're going to, within that time of that transaction happening, a load of other transactions would have happened. They're all going to reset and goods would have been parted.
Well, what you can do, you roll it back and just roll back that one transaction.
Oh, so you can identify it specifically. Okay.
Yeah, so you keep all the other ones in and just take out the one you didn't want.
Wow.
But that means you're editing the blockchain and being selective of what you want and don't want. And by the way, I just wanted to add as well, where people are going to potentially be scared about Bitcoin and going, every time you send a transaction, it's just money gone forever, is what will happen over time is financial services will pop up around Bitcoin that will insure your transactions. So, the reason why credit card companies can do what they do is because they want you to get into debt and then they charge you interest on that. They want to give you loans. So they make money there. And in exchange for that, occasionally when you get scammed and need to do a chargeback, or you get scammed from someone tricking you into sending money, they can take out of their profits and give you some money back. That will happen in Bitcoin as well. So you will have big financial companies will set up Bitcoin credit cards that you can go into debt with. You can take loans out. And what they will also do is insure some of your transactions. So when you do send Bitcoin to someone and you decide that wasn't what you wanted to do, you got scammed or whatever, these companies will pay you a Bitcoin back out of their profits. So this is just an evolution of the financial system. Whilst the network will be solid, but it's the same in the financial world, really. When you get scammed and send $50 to some guy in Thailand or in Nigeria,
they're not rolling it back.
They don't get the money back. Like, the money is gone. Like, they have it, but they just go into their profits and go, you know what, that $50, here you go, have it back, because we want you as a customer and we want you to feel safe. And by and large, you've paid us thousands in interest anyway, so we're only giving you a little bit of your own money back. That will happen in Bitcoin. It's just we're in early days at the moment, and that service doesn't exist, but it will.
Yeah. Out of interest, the credit card thing, again, it opened up a question to me. Why is the benefit to people loaning you money? Obviously, let's say you never default and you just literally loan the money. Where's the benefit to the bank? Because a lot of people do treat money properly and won't ever pay interest. Like, I've never paid interest. Well, actually, I missed my payment once by 1 hour. And I realised and I paid it, and it still charged me the 12 quid. I did complain, and they said, "You missed." All right, I spent 12 quid. To be fair, I answered my question.
Yeah,
I'm so angry.
And the problem is,
I cancelled the card after that.
You said a lot of people there are good with money. No, they're not. A lot of people are bad with money. The minority are good.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a reason why credit cards and the banks are so huge. People take, because the thing is, what the easiest one you can do is just like loans. Loans is nice and easy. So, you want a car, you haven't got 10 grand, you loan 10 grand, you pay them back 12. There you go. There's 2 grand profit for them. That cost them nothing really, other than the risk of not having that money for a couple of years. But and then in credit cards, like, people are notoriously bad at them. Everyone, because I'm the same. I've been hit with a few overdraft fees and all that kind of stuff, and it's largely just because the money was in the wrong place, and a bill came out and took me in the red there. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to move the money over, and bang, 12 quid charge. For having, and it's just, you just take the hit and you go, fine, that's the game they play. And that's just the average person. And I've probably paid, I don't know, like 50, 100 pounds worth of fees in my lifetime. I don't know. And I look after my money, and I've paid that. So then I look at someone that doesn't look after their money. They've paid thousands. Yeah,
it does make sense. Actually, yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of money in looking after someone else's money and punishing them the second they do something wrong. There's a lot of money in that.
Yeah, you're right.
And also what they do, by the way, is when you deposit their money with them, they invest it.
Of course.
So you think your money's sat there, and they're like, oh, my balance is 10K. It is. But if everyone withdrew all their money in 1 minute from the banks, there wasn't enough money there, because they've invested it all. It's all in the stock market. It's in property. So they're pumping the value. Yeah, your 10 grand, they shove it in the stock market and start gambling it. They make 20, 30, 40% returns a year on that stuff. Give you 0.1%. So just looking after money, not only can you charge people when they make mistakes, now that I have more money than I had before, because I have 20 other people's money, I can now invest that, take the profit for myself, and the other people are none the wiser.
Or they loan it out to you. They loan my money out to you, don't they? Yeah, you're right. And get your 12 quid.
Yeah. So that's
all right. Okay. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Lightning development, which I think is quite up to date sort of topic about using Bitcoin for a real thing. At the moment, I think I see a lot of people thinking of Bitcoin as an asset. It's a stock. It's an investment. It's not a real thing. You can't. What am I going to do with this digital currency? Digital currency is just fake. It's just in the ether. But I think Lightning is going to be the start where you can start putting 10, 20 quid on, not investment money, but you can have a few quid in it, which will buy you your small items like your newspaper, your Starbucks or something like that, and you'll use Lightning. And obviously, the theory of Lightning is that, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 10,000 transactions all held in the Lightning network, and then once it gets to that number, it then goes ping onto the blockchain. And the reason that's beautiful is if you go straight using the blockchain transaction, the fee is relatively high. It's not actually high, but it's relatively high. If you're only spending a small amount of money on a coffee, which is like 3-4 quid, you probably pay, I don't know, again, correct me if I'm wrong, about 30-40p for a transaction fee. So it's quite a considerable amount, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas with Lightning, because it's spread over 10,000 transactions, that will cost a lot of money, obviously, to put the whole 10,000 on, but to split 10,000 ways, it becomes almost insignificant fee. And that is why Bitcoin usage is going to actually be facilitated in the modern world, isn't it? And is that involving the Blue Wallet as well? Am I right, or are they two different things?
No, yeah. The Lightning's the technology. It's a little bit like where Bitcoin and the blockchain and layer 1 is the technology, and then you can have 1 million exchanges, 1 million wallets that will hold Bitcoin. Then you have a Lightning network that basically batches transactions. That's the easiest way to describe it. Instead of having one transaction and paying 40p, it can be 40p or it could be 40 pounds. Depends on the price of Bitcoin and how busy the network is. Like the price of a transaction has gone as high as, I think, 50 pounds is that almost all-time high. In 2017, I think there was Bitcoin transactions that were costing 50 pounds to send, which is completely crazy. Because now, unless you're sending thousands of pounds worth of value, there's no point sending it because you're going to get charged 50 quid. So if you're going to send 50 quid to someone, it's going to cost you 100. It's just silly. You just don't do it. So that's when we realized, obviously the Bitcoin network needs to scale. So we built a layer 2, and then you can batch tens or hundreds of thousands of transactions and put them into a single one. So even if the fee is 40 pounds, now there's 100,000 people paying the fee. So it ends up at a fraction of a penny per transaction to send.
Ah, right. Okay. So let me get this right then. So the 10,000 transactions only count as one actual transaction on the blockchain. So that surely then will slow down the blocks closing up, won't they? Blocks being completed, because a block's completed after, is it 10,000 transactions, and it gets closed next block.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be building loads of little transactions and only actually putting one onto the blockchain, isn't that going to slow down the blockchain filling and the mining?
Oh no, blocks can be empty. Every 10 minutes, a new block will be found. So there can be one transaction in there, or up to 10,000. Totally depends on how busy the network is.
Right. So it's up to 10,000 or 10 minutes. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we're preparing for is millions of transactions happening every 10 minutes. That's what Visa and the actual real world does. Millions of transactions are happening every 10 minutes. So at the moment, that would be impossible on Bitcoin. Once there's 10,000 transactions been done in a 10-minute period, then that's it. Like the network's full. You're essentially waiting, and you have to wait either 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. It keeps going up. And we want you in. You want your transaction done, right? You're buying a coffee. The person behind the desk wants confirmation that you had that Bitcoin.
Not just going processing.
Yeah, and it could take hours potentially. Whereas with Lightning, it's instant. It's just instantly transacted, done on a different layer. And yeah, it's not as fundamentally secure. There is still a slight security risk that transaction is a fake one, but much lower risk. So and provided you're doing it for low value transactions like cups of coffee and all that type of stuff, it's fine. If you're going to do a larger transaction, you do it on the main chain. But yeah, the Lightning network is flying at the moment. It's the number one use case in El Salvador. They all have their own Lightning wallets now. They don't have bank accounts, but they do have Lightning wallets, and they're just transacting. You can buy ice creams, cups of coffee, people paying their electricity bills. And this is it. You're moving from the store of value and investment of Bitcoin into a medium of exchange, and just starting to price your life in Satoshis. And that's what they're doing in El Salvador right now. And yeah, it's great to see. And it proves that the thing is that it won't take off in Britain and in America for ages, Lightning, because there's too much money to be made in Bitcoin by just holding it.
Yeah. I
have no incentive to go and do my shopping in Bitcoin. Every time I do my shopping, I buy it in pounds and I stack Satoshis with the spare change. So I buy Bitcoin every time I buy something with fiat. I'm the other way around. I'm constantly stacking as opposed to the other way around, because I know that every sat that I save is going to be worth 10, 100x in the next 10 years. So why would I spend it? So that's the problem we've got. But in certain countries where they don't have a stable currency, they're now using Bitcoin because the Bitcoin is more stable than using what they have.
Which is mental when you think about it, isn't it? That's more stable.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Bitcoin goes up and down like this. So you think, oh, that's crazy, 20, 30% swings. But the currency they've got is 30% swings, always down.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, what happened last year? 30% down. What happened the year before that? 30% down. What happened before the year? 30% down. Oh, right. This is volatility that only goes down.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's fiat money. When you've got Bitcoin, it's like, you have fluctuations and we have 30%, 80% downswings. But when you zoom out over a 10-year period, it's 1,000 times up. So that's kind of volatility, is people that you can accept that. But when you've got government money, it only goes in one direction, and that's down, because they keep printing it. If they keep printing it, the value goes down. It's a very basic mathematical problem. If the supply keeps going up, then the value of that thing has to go down. Yeah,
that's crazy. No, that's cool. Yeah, Lightning is quite a fascinating sort of thing.
Have you sent a Lightning transaction yet?
No, because I know you were talking to your boys about it, weren't you? Did Mr. 10% ever do it?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm behind.
You are. You haven't sent a Lightning transaction. I've sent hundreds. All my Bitcoin lesson guys, every single one of them, they took their Bitcoin in Lightning.
Well, you failed to pay me in Lightning, didn't you, Mr. All-In?
Yeah, I know.
I paid it. I want my money to go to El Salvador.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah. You donate my sats, please.
Okay. Yeah, I probably already did. I donated like £5 to the ice cream guy.
To the ice cream guy.
Yeah. Someone took a photo of an ice cream stand and it had a QR code on it. So we all scanned his code and just sent him money just for fun. He'd have woken up one day and gone, "What the friggin' hell? I sold a load of ice creams at night." That's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. He has no clue who sent it, but we know his address, so we can just send him money.
Send him some cash. Yeah.
It's beautiful. That's the power of Bitcoin. It's just, yeah, you can just send it, and there's no one that can stop you. There's no, and you can send him 1 penny if you want, 1 Satoshi, or whatever. But if there's a banking system, I can't just jokingly send him some money. It's like, oh, I'm revealing my identity. He would have my bank account. It's suddenly that's a little bit. No, I don't want to send him a $5 from my official account. And I might get flagged. I don't know who he is. He might be a freaking drug dealer that just happens to have an ice cream stand. And now I've done a transaction to him. Like, I don't want to get all tied up in that. But in Bitcoin land, it's like, I've got a wallet that's not attached to me. And I don't know who this kid is, but he's in El Salvador. I want to support him a little bit. His ice creams cost a $5. And I go on then, I'll buy a couple of ice creams. There you go, boom. Send him $5 worth of Bitcoin.
You can go and collect them in a few years. Well, maybe in the summer when you go over, you can claim them back.
Yeah, I'll show him my wallet and be like, look, I paid 6 months ago, mate.
I want it before now. Yeah. You won't be too, Mr. Whitney. Yeah, so I think I want a name.
I'm gonna have to ask.
Darnell's the educator for the name, didn't he? So please, can I have a name next time? Yeah, because I don't want you to name me, because I know that'll be just abusive.
It'll be like something around naked, won't it? Obviously.
Yeah.
Trying to think, like, Mrs. Naked or something.
Mrs. Naked. Oh dear. No, that's cool. Oh yeah, the last thing I want to do, I don't know if I can share this properly. That picture you sent me today of the ship?
Oh yeah.
Can you put that on the screen and then do it with that? I was going to do it, but the thing is, it's got all the other. The only way I could show it on WhatsApp is it would have all our other pictures that we send each other, which I don't think is wise. You'd be cutting it.
I can get it in a minute.
Because I know I'm going to give Claire a third shout out. She'll like this video, this picture. And if she doesn't understand it, she needs to go back and watch episode 1 and 2.
Okay, you see that?
That's it. Perfect. I do feel like we owe ourselves a slightly better boat. I think we should have at least a propeller on it. Like, he hasn't even got an oar, for hell, like, heaven's sake.
He is just standing there.
And if I was him, when that bottom end goes in, there's going to be some ripples. It's going to get rocky. He needs to sit down and belt up.
I know, but where would you rather be? That's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you rather be on that big ship that's going down, or on the little life raft? Which, like I said when we even discussed this the first time, it's risky. It's going to be rocky. There's land is still a long way away. You're gonna have to row a long way. But if you get on now, it's going to be easier. Instead, you'll be left floating in the sea and have to swim and make your own way. So
yeah, absolutely. Or not get out.
Yeah, go down the ship and get wrecked. See you, Harry. Bye. Good night.
Good night.